getting a little weird with the thumbnails. And I think it's only going to get weird from here. Buckle in, fam. Welcome to day 17 of The Alcohol Experiment by Annie Grace, read to you by me, Melissa O'Malley. Find more information at alcoholexperiment.com, or you can join my group. Today is day 17. The chapter is called Relieving Boredom Without Drinking. And we start with a quote by Albert Einstein. It says, "Boredom leads to creativity. Imagination is more important than knowledge." Let's hop in. If drinking used to be a major activity for you, this experiment might leave you with more time on your hands than you thought it would. That is a great thing. Sorry, geez. Yet you might feel a bit bored, so let's explore that emotion today. Interestingly, boredom is one of the top reasons that people go back to drinking. It's important to get a handle on this uncomfortable emotion so it can't undermine your experiment. Boredom can be a loaded topic, especially when it involves other people. There's a lot of implied guilt and blame involved, as you'll soon discover. The common belief among regular drinkers is that alcohol relieves their boredom and makes boring people easier to tolerate. But when you get right down to it, what is boredom? We might define it as a disinterest in the world around us, or even in our thoughts. It's like saying our lives are not enough for us, that being alive is not enough. We need something else. The concept of boredom is nothing new. References to it appeared in ancient Pompeii. I don't actually know how you say that word. Now I'm embarrassed. As early as the 1st century AD. I imagine it's probably been around since humans first existed. Boredom is an incredibly uncomfortable state for many people. Scientists studied this by putting people in a room for 15 minutes to be alone with their thoughts. The only other item in the room was a device they could push to give themselves an electric shock. 80% of the people decided to shock themselves and cause pain rather than sit and be bored. One person actually shocked himself 100. We brush boredom off as this trivial thing that we should be able to simply snap out of, but researchers are finding that it's not trivial at all. And there are some fascinating connections between boredom and addiction to substances like alcohol. When we're young, we're taught to feel guilty about being bored. I remember my dad telling me that boredom doesn't exist and it was all in my head. In school, children are often told to stop complaining or that they're weak-willed and unimaginative if they're bored. Some parents say, "Only boring people get bored," or "If you're bored, I'll give you something to do." Of course, that thing is always unpleasant, like cleaning your room or taking out the trash. And over time, we learn to be ashamed of this state of boredom. So we have this feeling that we don't know what to do about, and our parents, teachers, and other authority figures tell us we shouldn't be feeling it. That sets us up for classic cognitive dissonance. We feel bad or embarrassed that we're bored, so we seek out ways to change our state of mind. Some people eat. Some people mindlessly scan social media. And many of us reach for a drink. For a short time, alcohol numbs the boredom and the guilt we feel about being bored in the first place. Back in 1986, psychologists at the University of Oregon developed a test to study boredom. It's called the Boredom Pronus scale, and you can actually take it online. It's not surprising that people who are easily bored are more prone to addiction. Teenagers who report being easily bored are 50% more likely to try drinking, illegal drugs, or smoking. Think back for a moment. Have you always been prone to boredom? Or did you have creative activities to engage in? What were they? How did you handle boredom before you started drinking? That's not in the journal questions for this week, but I personally will really encourage you to dive into that. I I'll speak for myself. I really want to dive into that and really connect with a younger version of me. Anyway, it's important to understand that boredom isn't always a bad thing. I read a study where doctors put participants inside an MRI machine. When they reported feeling bored, there was a 5% drop in their overall brain activity. But there were huge increases of inactivity in certain areas, specifically the part of the brain that recall the sorry, okay. But there was a huge oh my god. But there were huge increases in activity in certain areas, specifically the parts of the brain that recall autobiographical facts, the part that seeks self knowledge, and the creative center where hypothetical situations are invented. All those creative parts of the brain were much more active, even though the overall activity was lower. Interesting, isn't it? Boredom may well be responsible for all the great works of art and literature, your favorite movies, and technological innovations. Albert Einstein was a notoriously bored person. Legend has it that his famous theory of relativity came about when he was particularly bored in an algebra class and was imagining that he could escape by being faster than a beam of light. What amazing things do you have inside of you that are that are waiting to be shared with the world? Some people believe that true bliss and contentment actually happen on the other side of boredom. They believe that boredom is a sublime emotion, something to be savored and appreciated. In fact, researchers are urging parents not to fill their kids' summer schedules with activity. They suggest setting kids up in situations where they will be bored in order to foster their ability to be still in their emotions. Children need to develop the ability to pay attention to the little things that bring lasting joy. It's a skill we're robbing our children of by providing constant, on demand entertainment. Of course, beyond a certain point, boredom becomes unhealthy. Studies show that when people and animals are bored too long, they can actually go insane. When you're drunk, you aren't capable of feeling boredom because you've numbed your senses and emotions. Boredom is telling you that it needs to be stimulated. So think of some ways to do that. My favorite ways to relieve boredom involve activities where I'm striving to reach a goal. Since my husband and I started Taekwondo, we're always working to improve our skills and move from white belt through the colored belts. Eventually, we hope to earn our black belts. Sustained growth and achievement is built right in. Happiness is often found in areas of growth. Maybe you want to write a novel and you can check off the chapters as they're completed. Even something as simple as walking can give you a sense of achievement. Try a GPS app to track your daily miles as you walk the distance it would take you to make it to Rome. Celebrate with a big Italian dinner party when you reach virtual Rome. When you're drunk, everything feels the same. Whether you're eating a nice dinner, you're at a concert, or you're home watching Netflix, it's all the same numb, fuzzy feeling. Every single experience you have feels exactly the same. After I gave up drinking, I saw that life has so much more variety to offer, and we need all our senses intact in order to experience it. When we take the time to appreciate it, life without alcohol is the opposite of boring. And what about the belief that drinking makes other people more interesting? My answer to that is to ask why you're with those people in the first place. I certainly understand needing to be at a business or networking function where you don't want to be. And I did my fair share of drinking to deal with people I had no interest in. But when I did that, I robbed myself of the ability to form true connections with people who might be worth getting to know if I gave them the chance. When you drink to make someone else more interesting, you're the one getting cheated. You're poisoning yourself just so that you can be around someone you don't want to be around in the first place. I've found that if I pay attention, I can actually find something worth knowing about everyone. And if I really can't stand someone, I can politely excuse myself and go find someone else to talk to. I don't need to drink a drink to do that. So, what do you think? While it's true that alcohol does temporarily relieve boredom by slowing down your brain, it also numbs your ability to experience and appreciate the things that bring you joy. Given what you now know about the creative centers in your brain lighting up during periods of boredom, are you more likely to put up with those uncomfortable emotions to see what's on the other side? Imagine what might emerge. Today, remember that boredom has a purpose. Turning it off robs you of the world of something Turning it off robs you and the world of something beautiful and important that only you can offer. Try just for now to sit with your boredom. Let it wash over you. Allow the discomfort. See what happens. Then make a list of all the activities you'd like to try someday. Don't hold yourself back or put anything off limits. Want to go skydiving or drive race cars? Add them to the list. Want to quit your job and start your own business? Great. How about taking up ballroom dancing or shipwreck diving? Spend some creative energy making up a long, wild list. Then start thinking about which activity you want to do first and go do it. Even if all you do is research it a little on the internet, It's a start. You have something amazing inside you that's just waiting to be created. Boredom is your brain crying out for stimulation. You simply need a healthy kind of stimulation. Day 17 journal questions. Remember, all the wisdom you seek is actually inside you. The most important words in this experiment are the ones you tell yourself. Take some time and answer these questions in a journal, a voice memo to yourself, or simply by speaking the answers out loud for only you to hear. 1. Reflection. Reflect on today's lesson and in your own words talk about the benefits of boredom. And 2, your anti-boredom list. Spend a few minutes making a list of all the activities you'd like to try someday. Don't hold yourself back or put anything off limits. Spend some creative energy writing a list that excites you. And then I definitely recommend a third journal question of remember what it was like before you used drinking as a cure for boredom. What did you used to do? Tomorrow is day 18, and it's called Why Tolerance is Literally a Buzzkill. So I will see you then. I hope you're doing well. Take care of yourselves. Bye.